BRUMMBÄR is premium German tank destroyer that shoots only explosive shells. It uses exactly the same ammunition as sturmpanzer at rank 1, but is placed at rank 3 and accordingly has higher battle rating. But there are reasons for that. BRUMMBÄR's shells offer one of the best damage and penetration at vehicle's battle rating. But there is a little nuance here. In order to deal that damage, you must hit the opponent, and there might be some difficulties here. Shell's muzzle velocity is so small that hitting someone 400 meters away already feels like a lucky shot, and you cannot adjust the aim very quickly, as fastest possible reload is 17.2 seconds. That is at least a couple of times slower than most of the opponents you'll meet. They can kill you twice before you can shoot again. But despite it will take some time to get used to ballistics, these shells are worth it. BRUMMBÄR uses two types of ammunition. High explosive shells can penetrate up to 61mm of armor, and it felt like everything with thinner armor plates gets one-shotted almost every time. On the other hand, they are unable to properly damage anything that has thicker armor. For example, some heavy tanks can be destroyed only by shooting their turrets. That would lead to breaking the roof and knocking out driver. Unfortunately, everyone in turret will be alive and very happy to shoot you back. So unless ammunition detonates, high explosive shell will take a lot of time to destroy heavily armored opponent, and any second something can go wrong. Because of this unreliability versus certain tanks, my choice was heat shells. They have noticeably less explosives, and it matters where you hit opponents if you want to do the most post-penetration damage. Instead, it penetrates up to 185mm at any range, so basically you won't meet a tank that could resist such shell even when over-tiered. Additionally, heat has more muzzle velocity. This is especially useful since in order to do the most damage with heat, you need to aim at turret's bottom, because high caliber heat projectiles deal damage in two ways: explosion around the impact point and in the direction of shell's travel. Since everything in front of heat gets penetrated, that will knock out everyone in turret, and despite lower amount of explosive, it is still sufficient to reliably break roofs. So when shot properly, you will do the biggest possible damage that is able to knock out all opponent's crew members at once. Of course, even despite muzzle velocity increase, at long ranges it is still so difficult to hit opponents that you will be happy just to hit someone at all. Though sometimes it is not necessary, as damage is so big that direct hit might not even be required to kill opponents. If something can be hull broken, it will be hull broken. Now when you are so excited about what happens with enemy tanks after each hit, couple of BRUMMBÄR's disadvantages before I tell you about second exciting thing that happens when opponents shoot at you. Just like other tank destroyers with huge guns, like Sturmpanzer or Ho-Ro, which review can be found in annotations or description, BRUMMBÄR doesn't have a turret, which makes it quite uncomfortable to play. In order to shoot opponents, you will be forced to turn the whole tank towards them, and turning takes time, which opponents can use to shoot you. Or the worst case scenario, moving the hull could be impossible if your engine or tracks are destroyed. But unlike low tier counterparts, it has a reasonable angle of horizontal guidance. With the ability to turn 15 degrees to each side, you have some room to engage enemies without need to move the whole vehicle, attracting their attention, or more importantly, messing up your aim at critical moment. In general, this will help you to do small corrections when opponents are further away, somewhere in front of you, though it is still a disadvantage compared to turreted tanks. You will need to spin the whole vehicle quite often, and its spinning is not any better than average. Maximum speed is 40 kph, but usually you won't be moving faster than 30, and even then only after moving straight for a while. That makes Brummbar even worse than average at moving around the map. Most of the time everyone else will already start fighting, and by the time you approach middle of the map it's already either allies pushed forward and you just keep driving trying to catch up, or enemies killed everyone and you are now alone in a heavily defended area. Especially speed difference hurts on bigger maps when you fight USA teams full of M18s. It's absolutely common thing here to be destroyed at the beginning of the match on the way to capture point, while you just didn't had enough time to reach nearest cover somewhere away from respawn. Reverse speed is not very bad, 6 kph. You will be reversing a lot. In case of Brummbar, that means after every shot, when you become defenseless, peaceful and quiet for the duration of reload. Brummbar has no machine gun at all, so when it comes to opponent's aircraft, there is very little you can do. The only way to defend yourself is using the main cannon, which is not so suitable for this task. So when planes will focus on you, the only way to survive is if opponents miss all their bombs, but Brummbar is quite slow and that makes it perfect target for air attacks. Because of no machine gun installed, you also cannot mark opponents for your allies. Especially that's annoying when someone is standing right in front of you and the only thing you can do is to ping their location on the minimap, which is not as effective as actually hitting the opponent, making it visible even for those who are not looking at minimap. And third disadvantage of no machine gun applies to ammunition Brummbar uses. There is no way to remove obstacles like bushes or fences, and your shells might detonate sooner than you want. Second exciting thing about Brummbar is armor. The vehicle has it. A huge frontal plate is 100 mm thick, and it's placed under 39 degrees angle. You know what else has similar armor plates? The most loved and hated heavy tank Jumbo, which review can also be found on my channel. Closer to cannon, armor can reach even 250 mm, and that is completely unthinkable thing for anything below rank 5. Additionally, main plate's angle increases more and becomes even less penetratable when Brummbar is standing hull down. Gun's depression of -8 degrees somewhat allows you to hide over hills, but because of muzzle velocity, shells will reach ground so fast that usually you don't even need so much gun's depression. Upper frontal plate will resist most of the oncoming shells, but just like any tank that depends on armor, it is very sensitive to being overtiered. Lower part of the hull, just like sides, are more vulnerable. Bottom front is 50 mm thick, while sides have as little as 20 mm, additionally covered by spaced armor. So now you have two reasons to turn the hull towards opponents: to be able to shoot them and to make them unable to penetrate you. In Arcade, Brummbar destroys everything. It is so different here that at the end of a video I will give it a separate rating for Arcade. It becomes much better because it has few the most important for this game mode features: good damage, penetration and armor. Additionally, every other vehicle's aspect is only improved. Additional engine power removes the speed disadvantage. It also positively affects turn speed, which is important for vehicles with limited horizontal guidance. Name tags will provide critical information on enemies' location that will let you prepare to incoming enemies by turning the vehicle towards them in advance. And penetration indicator that shows shells drop over distance removes one of the biggest Brummbar's disadvantage, allowing you to reliably hit targets even OMG 400 meters away, or use a distance on enemy's name tag to correctly set shooting distance and shoot over hills even without direct line of sight. Just make sure to stay close to some reliable cover, as you are still defenseless, peaceful and quiet during reloads. In general, despite Brummbar uses similar shells to low-tier counterpart, they are still one of the best even for this battle rating. But it's quite hard to take advantage of your shells when opponents are farther away, and getting closer when vehicle is so slow doesn't really help a lot. Additionally, there are inconveniences like no turret, machine gun and long reload. So in realistic, it will be usable only in small amount of situations. Here I will rate it 400 meters of effective fire out of 10. While in arcade, where every vehicle's downside is minimized, 8 gun mantlets from top ranks out of 10. So maybe slow shells with a huge amount of explosives is not always the best choice, but it's always fun choice.